Hello, everybody. How are you? I hope you're doing fine. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to just do a quick review of graphing. So we're going to go ahead and graph some linear equations. The first example that I'm going to give you is just graphing a simple linear equation. And then the second example will be to graph a system. Okay, so I just want you guys to kind of get ready for that. So go ahead and put your title, Graphing Linear Equations. And I'm going to go ahead and give you a very simple equation to graph. So here's your first example, example number 1, right? We have y equals 2x plus 3, okay? So when you're looking at this example, there's a couple of things that we need to note and a couple of things that we need to write down, okay? First of all, please understand that this number right here at the end of the equation, that is this y-intercept, okay? And remember, we label y-intercept with a b. And then remember this number right in front of the x, we know that to be the slope. And remember, we give it a symbol, and that symbol is m, all right? So we have the slope and the y-intercept. Now, these two things are going to be very important for us to graph because this is the two things that you need in order to graph this equation, right? So we're going to go ahead now and draw our graph. So go ahead and write your x and y, or draw your x and y, I should say. Right? All right. And then don't forget that you want to be able to label your x and y. So remember that this line right here going across, that is your x. And this line right here, that is your y axis. Okay, so label that. Don't forget right in the middle you have 0. Okay, so you can label that there if you like. Right? And now we're going to go ahead and take this information that we have, the y-intercept and the slope, and we're going to go ahead and put it down. So first of all, b equals 3. So b is the y-intercept. This is going to be actually the first thing you're going to graph. So this is first to graph. And the slope will be the second thing. So you will first graph the b equals, and then we'll graph the m, which is the slope. So m equals 2. Remember, if you have a 2, we want to go ahead, if you have a 2 as a whole number, we want to go ahead and put it as a fraction. So you go ahead and put a 1 underneath. This will give us our rise and our run. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and go to the graph. Remember, this is the first thing we're going to graph, and this will be the second. So if we say b equals 3, remember b is the y-intercept. So it's going to cross this y-axis, right? So go to 0, and then go to positive 3 on the y. 1, 2, 3. And then go ahead and put your first point there. So 0, 1, 2, 3. Remember, that's the very first thing you graph. Now we're going to take a look at the second, and that's the slope right here. So from this point, this tells us we need to rise 2 more. So from this point, you're going to go up 1, 2, and then you're going to run to the right 1. So go up 1, 2, 1 over, and then put your second point. Once you've placed your second point there, and you have your 2 points, you're done. So all you need to do now is connect your 2 points. So go ahead and connect them. Draw your line all the way through the graph. Don't forget your arrows. And then you have graphed your linear equation. Okay? So just kind of take a look at that. The first and the second point. Here's the first point at 3. Rise 2 over 1. That will give you the second point. All right? Let's go ahead and go to the second example. Now, in the second example I'm going to give you, it's going to have a system. Okay, so let's take a look here. Let me just get some paper here. I think I have one right here. All right. All right, so let's take a look. Example number 2. And this is graphing a system. All right. Now the system I'm going to give you is this one here. So you have y equals x minus 2. And you have y equals negative half x plus 1. Now in the same idea, you can go ahead and label these and look for m and b. Okay, so you can go go ahead and get your m and your b going for each of these equations. So if I look here, my b is this negative 2. So I'm going to go ahead and say b equals negative 2. And the m is this number right in front of the x. Now, if there's no number there, remember that's an imaginary number 1. Okay, so your m is 1, but remember we want to make it a fraction. Put a 1 underneath. There you have your rise and your run. Now, let's go ahead and do the second equation. We have the y-intercept as 1, a positive 1. And then the slope is negative 1 over 2. So we have m equals negative 1 over 2. The rise and the run. Okay? Now let's go ahead and get to graphing. So we're going to go ahead and draw once again our graphs. All right. Put your arrows down. Put down 0. Don't forget this is the x and this is the y. Right? And we're going to go ahead and graph one equation at a time. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this one right here. Right? So I'll start with this one. B equals a negative 2. So I'm going to go to negative 2 on the y-axis. So here's 0. I'm going to go down 1, 2. I'm going to go ahead and put my point there. All right. From there, I'm going to go ahead and rise 1 and over 1. And there I have my next point. Okay. So now I have my 2 points. Remember that once you have your 2 points for the linear equation, you just go ahead and draw your line. Okay. So draw your line there. And that's your first equation. Right. Now let's take a look at the second one. So we're going to go ahead and graph at b equals 1. So the y-intercept will be at 1. So here's 0, go up to 1. Put down your point there. And now the slope is telling us to go negative 1 down and over 2. So I'm going to go down 1 and 1, 2 over. So I'm going to go ahead and connect my 2 points there. Right? Once I do that, go ahead and connect your 2 points. Going to draw your line there. Now we can find the solution of this system. So remember at the end, you have a solution that you have to find. If the lines intersect, there's a solution right there. Okay, so if you take a look at the pink and you take a look at the green, they intersect at this point. We need to find where that point is located because that's going to give us what we know to be our solution. So I'm going to go ahead and put this here. You have your x and your y. And then I'm going to go ahead and tell you where this is at. So right now, this point is at the x at 2 and at the y at 0. So it's 2 positive and at 0. Okay, that would be our solution to this system right over here, these equations, okay? All right, guys, that's pretty much it. I hope you understood this one. The intersection is the solution, and that whenever you graph an equation, you're looking for the y-intercept and the slope, okay? Remember to graph your y-intercept first and then the slope. All right, everyone? Okay, have a great week. I will see you soon. Bye-bye.